Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Illustrious Book in the AITAH subreddit. The post is titled AITA for not letting my husband into the labor room and picking our child's name. This is a throwaway account because I'm so annoyed and need to vent. This will be a lot, so I'm sorry in advance. I have been together with my husband for nearly 10 years. We got married at 21, had our first son a year later, followed by our daughter 3 years after that. I built my whole life around my family. We both had good jobs. He worked full-time while I worked from home. We had a nice home in a great neighborhood and put our children in good schools. We also had a successful business on the side. I thought we were doing everything right. My best friend, who I've known since middle school, lived nearby. We had our daughters around the same time and would have playdates all the time. We leaned on each other a lot. I supported her when she was going through issues with her daughter's deadbeat father and helped her get in contact with a good lawyer. I leaned on her when I was recovering from my traumatic second birth and the depression that followed. We relied on each other for everything. 10 months ago, I found out I was pregnant for the third time. I was really uneasy about this because of my traumatic experience during my second pregnancy. My husband and I had both agreed we were done after our 2 children. I considered abortion, but my husband insisted we keep the baby. I was still uneasy about the pregnancy and borderline miserable for the next 6 months. I was diagnosed with hyperemesis gravidarum and was throwing up 20 times a day for 6 months straight. I lost a ton of weight, had to stop working, and was frequently sent to the hospital due to severe dehydration. My husband stood by me and showered me with attention, for which I was incredibly grateful. He cut down his hours at work to look after me, the house, and the kids. My best friend would come over frequently to check on me and help with household chores. When I hit 6 months, the hyperemesis gravidarum decreased significantly and I was almost back to myself. One night after having a movie night with my family, my husband and I were getting ready for bed. He fell asleep right away while I quickly checked on the kids before getting into bed. His phone was vibrating like crazy, so out of genuine curiosity, I unlocked it. We used to do this a lot when we were younger, so I didn't think too much of it. I was already sitting in bed. I saw messages from my friend. They were frantic spam messages. One of them said, "Please come over, I need you." Another said, "I know I shouldn't be messaging here, but I miss you and come over when she's asleep." I think I sat there in a daze for nearly 5 minutes. I cried quietly as the fatigue washed over me. I scoured his phone looking for more evidence and found emails and messages from them both, even using apps like Kik to message and pictures. But the worst part was discovering that my husband left me one time in the hospital with my mother while he went back home, where my kids were being babysat by my friend, and got intimate in our bedroom while our kids were in the house. I kicked him out the following morning after confronting him and filed for separation sometime later. For the next 2 months, he begged for forgiveness, but then complained and insulted me for not letting him see his kids or for stopping him from attending doctor appointments. We had planned months earlier who would be in the delivery room. It was going to be my mother and husband. He called me when I was 35 weeks pregnant, questioning the labor situation. When I said no to him being there, he got very angry. Many of my in-laws and family members told me to put our differences aside for our baby. However, I still said no. I gave birth to my son with my mother and sister present and felt no regret about my choice. After my second traumatic birth, I just wanted to ensure this one was as stable as possible, which it was. We were going to name our child after his father who passed away. However, I changed my mind and picked a name that I've loved since childhood instead. This aggravated him even more, because I'm being guilt-tripped by many people right now. All I want is for everyone to leave me alone so that I can just be with my kids. Edit. Just wanted to add that I do let him see the kids. It would be crazy if I didn't. My children love their dad. I just have certain boundaries now that we aren't together and he doesn't respect them. He gets angry and says things that are categorically untrue. He got to meet our newborn son just hours after I gave birth. I don't think OP is doing anything too wild here. Her anger is obviously justified, and I don't blame her for not allowing her husband in the delivery room. Now, if she didn't allow the guy to see his kids at all, then I'd have a bit of an issue with that. Even though you two as adults aren't able to get along, the children at least deserve to have time with both parents. All that being said, OP's husband and her so-called best friend are absolute garbage. Needless to say, contact should be cut off with the friend, and minimal contact with the soon-to-be ex-husband is probably best. The only contact should be for the exchange of the kids under whatever visitation agreements they come to. User time condition said NTA. This is a scenario where you should feel safe and comfortable. He was cheating and left you in the hospital, so you shouldn't listen to him. User nylon vest said NTA for both of those decisions. Yes, you should eventually figure out how to co-parent your children with this man who betrayed you. It's going to be difficult, but it's important for their sake. However, having him in the room while you're giving birth has absolutely nothing to do with that, and anyone who suggests it is an and choosing a different name has nothing to do with it either, frankly. Yes, maybe choosing a different name will forever remind your husband of this period in your lives, but not choosing a different name will have a similar effect on you. Also, I don't see anything wrong with not being ready just 3 months out while you were going through all this health stuff on top of dealing with everything else. User Raven Kelly said NTA. Childbirth is a medical procedure, not a spectator sport. He was no longer there to support you, so he had no business being in the room. Update. So I'm back after nearly a whole year. I completely forgot about this post because I've been so wrapped up in other things. For anyone who doesn't want to read the whole post, here's a summary. My husband had been cheating on me with my best friend while I was pregnant. I was close to giving birth and decided not to have my then husband in the labor room with me. I also chose a name for our baby that he didn't agree with. As I said, it's basically been a whole year. My baby turned 1 today, and after celebrating his birthday and Christmas with my kids, it finally hit me that this is my new reality. First of all, my ex-husband and I finally went through with the divorce proceedings. I had been holding it off during my pregnancy and early postpartum period to avoid added stress and to carefully plan for my children and myself. I was awarded primary physical custody of our children. Their dad visits once a week and the 2 older kids spend every other weekend with him. My youngest will start doing the same in a couple of months, which makes me nervous. He's especially clingy with me. All my kids are, but my youngest has really only known me as the most present parent. One of the main stipulations in our custody agreement is that my ex's affair partner is prohibited from seeing the kids. My poor kids have been confused enough by their parents' sudden split, and I didn't want them to be even more confused by seeing their aunt, who is supposed to be mommy's best friend, with their dad. It was deemed emotionally detrimental in court. As for the baby name, he's been so bitter about it. I think he's still annoyed. His side has been trying to convince me to change the name to something we'd both like, especially after the divorce was finalized. But it's been a year now, and the baby quite literally responds to the name I gave him, so I'm not going to change it. He was also unhappy with the child support payments among other payments and asked for some revisions. One main thing he requested was a change in the cost of our kids' school tuition. He pays for their tuition, but felt it was too much and too harsh. However, the court stuck with the original payments. As for my ex-husband and ex-best friend, they continued dating. I found out that they had started seeing each other a month into my 3rd pregnancy. They had actually slept together during my 2nd pregnancy, but didn't pursue a relationship then because, as they put it, they weren't ready to ruin things and didn't want to hurt anybody. My ex's side has been very supportive of their relationship, even inviting her to holiday gatherings like Thanksgiving or family holidays. Because of this, my kids don't go to these events very often. After this whole fiasco, I'm coming to the realization that perhaps my ex's side never really liked me all that much, but that's okay. I eventually spoke with my ex-best friend to ask why they did it. She claimed that they were just friends but grew close while she was dealing with issues involving her deadbeat ex-boyfriend. Both of them insisted that my ex-husband just wanted to protect her, which supposedly turned into love. Hearing this hurt me a lot, but at the same time, I felt relieved to know the truth. After sitting with this information for a while, it stopped hurting. It made me realize that I didn't still love my ex-husband and could finally let go of him and their betrayal. They broke up a week ago. Apparently, it's just a break, though who knows. Although my kids go to their dad's house every other weekend, this has helped a lot in making time for myself. Obviously, I'm figuring out who I am without being a wife or mom all the time. In many ways, I find what happened to be a true blessing, which is why I'm no longer angry. As for me, I've been seeing someone. It hasn't been very long, nor is it that serious yet, but we get along great. Initially, my ex-husband made the whole situation difficult. He didn't want me to have any man specifically around the kids. Edit, I don't know how to do update posts, so my apologies if this is wrong. This is likely the last update. I just wanted to check in and let everyone know I'm okay. This next post was made in the AITAH subreddit by a user named The Conflicted Bride. The post is titled AITAH for not inviting my cousin to my wedding. Hello Reddit, I'm getting married this May to my long-term boyfriend. We've been waiting to get married for about a year since we've been saving up our finances to move out, and now is the perfect time to start the process of getting married. I'm very excited. We have told our immediate families so far, and they are all ecstatic for us and support us 100%. However, there is just one problem. I have a cousin who has bullied me my entire life. I do not want said cousin at my wedding. Growing up, she made my life a living hell. She never missed a chance to make fun of me, and she used to physically bully me as well. I remember times when she would make up scenarios and tell me that people from school called me ugly, fat, and a slut just to upset me and make me feel insecure about myself. At one point, she even admitted she was jealous of me. These days, I feel like we're only civil because our moms are very close. Her mom is my mom's sister. This piece helps our family stick together, and there have been no major incidents since then. To this day, she still makes snide remarks or backhanded comments to me. I've come to realize that putting up with that toxic behavior is unhealthy, and this is my wedding day. I deserve to feel happy. I decided that I don't want to invite her to something that is supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life. She doesn't deserve to be a part of my happiness. I told my mother this and she was upset. She thinks if I invite my aunt's family and exclude said cousin, my aunt will be very upset and it will cause a whole family fight. My mom also said it will trigger her anxieties and make her feel uncomfortable at my own wedding. I told her if my aunt doesn't want to come because my cousin is uninvited, I would have no hard feelings toward her, and I completely understand. This wasn't enough for my mom. She was still upset with my response. She doesn't think it's worth not inviting my cousin for one day and believes it would cause a lifetime of conflict. My fiance thinks I'm in the right. He personally doesn't want her at the wedding because of how she treated me in the past. He said it's our day and we can choose who we want at our wedding. I still feel like I might be the a-hole for potentially causing drama just by not wanting to invite my cousin. So Reddit, am I the asshole? User Capital Literature said NTA. Here's another way of putting it. Would you actively invite this one person who's been a miserable steaming pile of garbage her whole life and a cloud over your head for many years to one of the most important days of your life? Hell no, you wouldn't, and you certainly wouldn't feel bad about it either. And if your mom is close to her mom, I'm guessing she knows about her awful niece. I'd be a little annoyed if my mother defended her in any way, shape, or form. They'll know damn well why she's not invited, and if that ruffles some feathers, so be it. Screw them. She's only a cousin, not exactly immediate family or someone you would have wanted to visit regardless. To this, OP said, yes, she and my aunt know everything that happened between my cousin and me growing up. A deleted user said, it's your right not to invite a bully to your wedding. Just understand that this is epic bridge burning. There's no coming back from excluding one cousin from your wedding, especially when you've been tolerating her civilly all along. You will look petty and unkind. Your mother's family will blame you and they will blame your mother for allowing it. This is not fair, but it is true. These random strangers crowing NTA, it's your day, don't have to live with the fallout. You do. Your mother does. Is keeping your cousin away from your wedding worth destroying your mother's relationship with her sister? Because that's what's going to happen. Personally, if you're going to blow up the relationship, I vote for doing it well before the wedding. Get the drama over with now so you don't even have to think of her on your wedding day. Have it out with your cousin. Tell her she's a nasty bully and demand a public apology. If you play your cards right, she'll refuse to come to your wedding and you'll get to take the high road. Update. Hello again, Reddit. I just want to come back on here to give you guys an update. First and foremost, before I get to the update, I want to thank you all for your helpful advice. It really helped my fiance and me gain a clearer perspective on what to do. Now for the update. My fiance and I decided to have a basic elopement. No celebration, no dinner afterward, nothing. We might go on a honeymoon afterward. We aren't sure where to go, but I'm sure it'll be fun with no drama. We also decided to postpone the date of our elopement to a later time. As for the conversation with my mother, a couple of days after I posted the original Reddit post, I talked to her. I told her I am not having my cousin at my wedding. I don't care that she will be upset. It's my day and I decide who goes and who doesn't. After I told her, she just sat there in silence. When I mentioned everything my cousin did to me in the past and pointed out that she did nothing about it, she got defensive. She said she tried everything she could, but I really don't believe that. A couple of days ago, I went on a hike with my father and I briefly told him about the situation. He decided to give me the full rundown about my mother's family, which turned into a very long conversation. He did not hold back. To no surprise, my father said that throughout his marriage with my mother, she always chose her siblings and mother over him and her children. There were no boundaries on my mother's side. Everyone was in everyone's business. He told me about the bullying I received from my cousin from his perspective. To be more specific, it started when I was 1 year old and my cousin was 3. How did he find out? When my parents were still living with my grandma, my cousin asked my dad if she could go upstairs with me in my bedroom alone. My dad didn't know anything at this point, so he allowed it. My mother then started getting hysterical, and my grandmother told my father that it wouldn't be a good idea for that to happen. He asked, "Why? She's only 3 years old." My grandmother told him that my cousin would hit me and be violent toward me. They said it had been going on for months. The reason they didn't tell my father was that I wouldn't remember it and that they were just kids. My father was furious and tried to do everything in his power to protect me and my younger brother. Since my brother was a newborn at that time, my father didn't know if they would go after him next. Throughout the years, my brother didn't receive as much bullying as I did. The lack of discipline that my aunt's kids received when we were kids made it easier for my cousin to be nasty to me. From what I've heard, my aunt didn't do anything about it, and neither did my mother. My cousin also told my father that she hated me and resented my existence when she was 5. My father's theory on why my cousin was so hateful toward me is that she was the first granddaughter born for a while, since my older 2 cousins are 20 years older than us. Their mother had them as a teenager. Right after my cousin was born, her brother was born, and then it was me. My aunt and mother tried to make us like twins, same outfits, same everything. My cousin didn't like that because she wanted all the attention for herself, which caused her to start bullying me at a very young age. Any chance my mom got, she would bring me and my brother to her side of the family. It didn't matter where we were at. As a result, I never really got to know my father's side of the family very well. The part that hurt me the most was not really knowing my dad's mom. My mother would always limit contact with her on purpose because she didn't like having other influences in our lives that weren't her family. It hurt so much because all the times I remember being with my grandma, she was always teaching me how to fight and defend myself against my cousin. She taught me to always hold my ground. I knew she loved me with all her heart, and I loved her too. I wish I had a better relationship with her. There were other things that my father mentioned about the family which I'm not going to go into too much detail about because they are irrelevant. The main message I got from all of this is to not break my boundaries and to stay away from her and the rest of my mother's family because they will turn on me. He told me it's not worth fighting with my mother about these issues because she is delusional and will always take the side of her siblings instead of her children. In my father's words, she essentially made me and my brother into sacrificial lambs for the sake of her relationship with her family, instead of protecting her children. I'm going to keep my distance from my family and continue working hard to save my money so I can move out of my mother's house. I understand now that I cannot be around my mother's side of the family at all. It would be a very unhealthy environment for my future children and husband. I don't want to make the same mistakes my mother made. I want to be the best role model my family could have. So that's basically it for the update. I will provide more updates if there is anything else to share. I just wanted to thank you all again for giving me the best advice to follow and for keeping up with my story. Thank you. This final post was made in the same subreddit by a user named Birthday Gift. The post is titled AITAH for turning down the birthday gift my mom's boyfriend gave me. I'm kind of confused about whether I'm in the wrong here. I'm leaning toward thinking that I am, but I want someone else's opinion. My mom started dating a new guy about 6 months ago, and I honestly never really liked him. I don't know how to explain it other than he just gives me weird vibes. I've been trying to be nice though because my mom likes him and I want her to be happy. He's been trying to make an effort with me, I think. He'll send me texts throughout the day and pictures. He tells me I'm smart and stuff, which is nice. But I don't know, I just feel kind of uncomfortable with it. My mom says he's just being nice, but I'm not sure. Anyway, my birthday was a couple of days ago and he got me a really expensive necklace. He also gave me a ticket to a show that I've been wanting to see, and he said he has the other one and that we should go together. I just felt like it was too much, and I told him that I was really grateful but that I couldn't accept them. He got really mad and said that he already spent the money, so I should just take it and go with him, but I really didn't want to. It ended with him yelling at me, and I basically ran away to my bedroom. My family thinks I was too mean and that he's just trying to bond with me. I don't know. Am I the User Marathon Rabbit said, NTA, listen to your subconscious. If it says something is off, something is off. The hard part here is going to be convincing your mom to respect your boundaries and her boyfriend that you really mean what you're saying. With respect to the show, who would be going? If it's up to you to decide and you can take your mom, then keep the tickets. The necklace can be returned. The tickets can be resold if necessary. To this OP said, the tickets are supposed to be for just me and him. User Odd Knowledge said, NTA. I often say to my teenagers, if it feels wrong, it probably is. Trust yourself. You don't want his gifts and his messages are too much. Hopefully, he is just trying too hard. But since you have been strong enough to speak up, let's hope he backs off a little. You say you trust your mom. Is it worth quietly chatting with her, saying you are happy for her, but you don't want him to keep messaging you and sending you expensive gifts? While it can be so hard to speak up for yourself, often telling someone trustworthy how you feel can really help. I am just an internet stranger here, but I think you were brave in speaking up at the moment. It must have been upsetting when he shouted at you. I do hope you're doing okay. To this OP said, I was really upset when he yelled at me, honestly. It really scared me, especially because he's a big guy. Maybe I should talk to my mom about it. I just always worry because I really want her to be happy. Update. So if any of you are interested, you were right. My mom's boyfriend was trying to groom me. Apparently, for as much as my family said I was overreacting by turning down his gift, my mom didn't like that he yelled at me. Apparently, while she was pushing him for answers about why he got me something so expensive in the first place, he said something she thought was suspicious. Turns out he only started dating her because my mom had a picture of her, my older sister, and me on her dating profile, and he wanted to get to me, which is creepy. She said she's taking that picture off her profile now, but also she's not going to go on dates for a while, which I definitely feel bad about. I can't help but feel like it's my fault. But yeah, that's the update. Thank you guys for being so nice, even if you thought I was being a little stupid. I hadn't really learned much about predators before now. Update 2. I don't know if this will be my last update or not, but I wanted to post it because of how many of you seemed worried about me. I told my mom. It was really hard. I want to say I was brave about it, but I cried a lot and was really scared. I could barely actually say it out loud, so I showed her my Reddit post and what you guys were saying. She told me that I shouldn't trust strangers on the internet, but that she agreed that what happened the weekend he was checking in on me was weird. She took me to the ER right after I told her, even though it's not really an emergency. I don't really understand everything the doctors did, so please forgive me if I say anything wrong. They made me do a blood test, urine test, and they took some of my hair because they said some drugs can be detectable for a few weeks after. The urine test came back initially confusing. At first they said it was PCP, but then they said they did another test and apparently there are traces of ketamine. I don't really know if that means I tested positive for both or only ketamine. I mean, I've never taken either of those things, so he definitely drugged me. They said he probably gave me something else too because how I described it didn't seem like ketamine, but I don't really know what that means. Anyway, I guess we're waiting to see if anything else comes back. They also did a pelvic exam and some ultrasound thing. I don't remember what they called it. They said there was trauma, so I was either raped or assaulted in some way. I am, or was I guess, a virgin, so there's no debate there. I also don't exactly know how they can tell, but obviously it's their job. I don't really feel any way about it, but the social worker they brought in said I'm probably in shock. I told them I had gotten my period afterwards with bad cramps, but they told me that it was probably not actually my period and just me bleeding from the assault. As for the police, they've been contacted, but my mom isn't telling me much. I had to answer so many questions earlier. Thank you guys for being so nice. I probably would have never known what happened if someone didn't point it out. I don't know exactly how I feel about that because maybe it would have been nicer to not know, but still, thanks. I'm also sorry if this post doesn't make sense. I don't really feel like myself. Update 3. Just a short post to my account because I don't want to keep posting stuff to AITAH. And this isn't a big one or anything. I was discharged from the hospital and am currently heading home. My mom had my uncle check the house for cameras this morning as suggested. Thankfully, he didn't find anything. I think I'm going to stop posting updates about everything. I'm not feeling like myself, and I am quite tired of people messaging me to tell me I'm lying. I wish I were lying. For all the questions people keep asking, no, I hadn't been taught much about child predators before this. I was taught stranger danger and to not let an adult touch my privates. That's it. Maybe I'm an idiot for not learning more before, but how dare I assume I was safe, right? I can't change it now though, and I know more now than I ever wish I had to. I don't know why my mom posted a picture of all of us on a dating app. Yes, we all realize now it was dumb. I don't know why he outright admitted it, as I've said. I wasn't there for the conversation and just know what my mom told me about it. For those of you who were getting annoyed about the urine drug test thing, I did ask my doctor this morning because I was curious too. He said they have had people test positive for ketamine in urine up to 14 days after taking it. The weekend I keep talking about was the 26th or 27th, which was 9 to 10 days ago, so apparently plausible. He also said the PCP was a false positive, and the only positive I currently have is ketamine. I'm sorry if I'm being aggressive. I've been bouncing between crying and lashing out this morning, and I'm just so tired. The therapist was nice, and I have an outpatient appointment scheduled with a different one in a week. The nurses and doctors were really nice. Apparently, they did an STI panel with the blood they took, but they're still waiting on results. But yeah, that's all the updates you'll get. Probably for a long while if I ever update again. I really want to thank those of you who've been nice to me and have given me advice. Update 4. Hi everyone, I know I said I wasn't planning on updating again, or at least not for a while, but I thought some of you would appreciate the update, and I'm in a bit better place now. I think I finally come to terms with what happened for the most part anyway. So last we left off, I had just left the hospital after finding out my mom's ex had drugged and sexually assaulted me when he'd watched me over the weekend. I'm also going to give some warning that this is probably going to be pretty TMI because, I haven't really wanted to talk with people in real life about this. For those of you who were worried about STDs, apparently he gave me chlamydia. The doctors told me it was a thing that not everyone has obvious symptoms for, so it's not weird I didn't know, which is super weird because I always assumed STDs hurt really bad. But anyway, I got antibiotics, so all should be good. I also had my first ever appointment with an OBGYN, which was weird. She did say there shouldn't be any permanent issues from this, which apparently was a concern of the hospital doctor because of how severe the damage seemed like a week out. As for the people who talked about him maybe trying to approach me at school, my mom alerted the school about him. He hasn't shown up at my school or anything, but sometimes I swear I see his car. My therapist said that I should be aware, but that it's more than likely not him and that it's my anxiety. The police were involved for a while, but they said that without DNA evidence, they couldn't technically prove it was him. I don't know how true that is, but my mom said some very mean words about them, so I'm assuming it was not a great conversation. So I guess we just have to move forward on our own. My mom is no longer on any dating apps. It's gotten more and more obvious to me how guilty she feels, but I think she's slowly starting to act more normal with me and my sister again. She also got a gun and has been working on her aim at the shooting range. Kind of crazy because she's always hated guns, but when I asked, she just cursed out the police. I don't really know how to take that, so I'm just rolling with it. I'm sure Thanksgiving is going to be weird because basically everyone knows what happened now, but worst case scenario, I'm going to hide from everyone in my bedroom since we're hosting. I'm kind of worried about someone making a comment about it, especially since maybe some of you guessed it because of how little I really knew about sex and predators and stuff, but a lot of my family is super religious. I'm just worried they'll make comments about me being impure or something. I hope not though. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Things are mostly normal again, just a bit more therapy, anxiety, and knowledge about sex and sexual predators. Thank all of you who have been really kind to me. It's been a weird few weeks. I started painting again yesterday though, so maybe I'm getting back to being me.